What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. My name is Msutfu Kambule, also known as Suti Major on social media. I am a 24-year-old entrepreneur who specializes in feedlot business and other things. But majority in this video, we're going to be talking about the harsh reality about feedlots. So I have been in this industry for about 10 months. I'm still a rookie. I would say a year of knowledge, experience from other people that are working with me and around me. But I would say practically I've been in this business for 10 months. And there's a lot of things that I have experienced. There's a lot of knowledge that I have gained. And again, as I said before, there's a lot of harsh realities that I've seen within this business. So I'm going to break them down to you. This is just for you to know, either before you get started or you've just started, to kind of know the realities about running a feedlot. And this is something I wish I knew earlier. So this video is to try and bring awareness to this industry, especially for young adults like me, and to see how they can go about it before they start. Please do comment, like, and subscribe, and share this video to other people. Let's grow this community as best as we can. The first harsh reality that I've gotten to understand about this business is it's a high capital project. It needs a big capital to start because you need to factor in the cost of building your structure. You need to factor in the cost for the actual young bulls or the weaners that you'll get to put into your feedlot. You need to also counter in the cost for feed of the young bulls that you bring in. You also need to factor in labor. You also need to factor in the cost of running expenses such as transportation cost. So I would say this project is very high capital intensive. You need a high capital, obviously depending on the size of your structure, also depending on the capacity of the weaners that you will start with in your feedlot, also depending on the amount of feed you will need for your starting weaners will determine the range. This is from my experience. It is a very high capital intensive. So I would say make sure that you have, enough money to cover at least the first cycle for your feedlot business. At least the first 3 months should be well covered. You should have enough money to make sure that the food or the feed is, put together for the first 3 months. You have enough money for water supply for the next 3 months. You have enough money for your labor cost or whoever you're going to hire. If it's not yourself, be able to make sure that those supplies are consistent, right? That's normally the biggest part. That's like the biggest harsh reality. Moving on to the second one, I would say it's a slow cash flow. You only see income after 3 months, 3 to 4 months. You only see your return after 3 months. So if you start your feedlot in January, February, there's nothing that's coming in. In March, there's nothing that's coming in. And then in April, when you sell your bulls to the customers, that's when you get income. So in between that space, there's no cash flow. So you need to make sure that you have enough money to sustain you within those months before you sell your bulls. So make sure that you have that covered. It's not like other businesses where, for example, another business that I do is selling burgers, right? So we have a burger startup as well. So for example, I will buy the supplies for the burgers on Friday, and then on Saturday we put the burger together and then we sell it and we get that cash flow within the next day. So there's a consistent cash flow. You get your return the next day, as opposed to this business where you get your income after 3 months. So it's a very slow cash flow business. The next harsh reality that I would say is very also crucial, because this is a bit of a make or break of a feedlot business, is that it has consistent expenses, right? So this means when you start your feedlot, some expenses are once off. For example, you build your structure, that's a once-off expense, right? You don't have to continuously, month or 3 months, build another structure. So your structure is once off. The medication that you use at the beginning of your cycle is once off. And for example, now the only thing that is occurring, the expenses that occur on maybe a day to day or a week to week, is the feeding cost. So for example, you will find that within the 3 months, if you have 4 bulls in your feedlot, you will have to purchase at least 4 amounts of feed to cover each bull so that they can grow before they leave. So that would mean in January you need feed cost, in February you need feed cost, in March you need feed cost. You see, so that means there's continuous expenses, water as well. For example, I live in a location that doesn't have a borehole, so I don't have great supply of water. So every month I need to buy water from a water company so that I could be able to make sure that my bulls have great access to water. So that's an expense that's always occurring every month, and sometimes 3 weeks depending on the intake. So you need to be very sure that you have enough cash flow to sustain you to operate through these expenses on an occurring basis. The next harsh reality, depending on your location, feedlotting has become a very saturated market. There's a lot of other feedlotters, bigger companies that have bigger volumes, that have bigger customers. So if you're starting off at the beginning, it's very tough because there are some customers that have signed contracts with certain farmers who are in this feedlot business that they only stick to. So if you are a new supplier in this market, it will take a while for you to find that consistent customer that will continuously buy from you. So that means at the beginning, you need to work extra hard in your networking, in your salesmanship, in your marketing, which is going to be my next harsh reality. So you have to be very good in finding the right customer, especially before your bulls are ready to be slaughtered. Because again, it's an oversaturated market, there's a lot of suppliers, there is a good demand of meat. So make sure that you work really hard to find the right customer for you and try and make it a consistent customer by any means possible. Have some sort of agreement that could showcase that you want to work with them and supply a particular customer on a consistent basis. So if you don't put in that extra effort, it's going to be very hard to sell your product at the right price because again, it's a saturated market. I would say another harsh reality, and I touched on a bit, is the marketing side. There are quite a lot of marketing barriers when it comes to this industry, in my perspective, because we've now lived in a very digitalized world. Depending also in your community, it's very hard to sell your livestock when it's ready because, for example, social media is a bit hard to market there because you find that your customers are not in the age bracket to be using Instagram, to be using TikTok, to be using WhatsApp. And sometimes when you use WhatsApp or Facebook, sometimes people aren't as authentic, sometimes people aren't as trustworthy. So you need to find a great way to get your product, your livestock out there in a very safe way and also in a very professional manner as well. Also, I am a marketing professional. I'm qualified as a marketing individual. So I always found it a bit hard to find a way to market my product, other than other products. For example, with the burgers, it's very easy to market that product because social media helps. The customers that I'm looking for use social media, so it's easy to get my product out there. As opposed to the feedlots, it's another story because you find that your customers do not use these apps. So you need to find another smart way into getting their attention and to converting it into an actual sale. So I would say before you get started, find a good way to market your livestock, to showcase your quality, to showcase the value that you bring in terms of your products to the customers. One less harsh reality in this business, in every beginning of a cycle, it's very hands-on. Feedlotting is a very hands-on. If this is a side project, for example, it's going to be hard if you have maybe a 9 to 5 and you also need to manage the feedlots at the same time. It's a very hands-on project. You need to make sure that you manage, you take records, you observe, you analyze, you make predictions, you forecast. It's a very hands-on project, and it's actually the make or break. If you're very hands-on, you're very observant, there's a lot of things that you can pick out at the beginning that can actually help you in the long run. I'm gonna make an example. We had put our bulls in the beginning of the month, our young bulls that age between 1 to 2 years, right? There was one bull that actually had a sore underneath its eye, and I was able to pick that out immediately because I was every day taking the time to look at the bulls, to look how they're settling in. Because remember, you're buying young bulls or weaners from a different farm and you're bringing them to your farm. So, there's a lot of things that you need to inspect and make sure that everything is good before they stay full time in your farm. So, that's why the vaccination process is important. But even after the vaccination process, you need to make sure that you analyze your bulls to see how they're adapting. After a week, I was able to see that actually had like a pink eye situation going on, and I was able to call my production manager to come and give it the necessary treatments to be better. So if I was not hands-on and I was not observant, I was not going to see that situation until it grew into a big problem, and it may have been harder to find a solution at that particular time. So I would say it's very important to be hands-on, especially at the beginning. Create a team. If you are a busy person and you have other ventures, make sure that you make time to be a part of your feedlot, especially at the beginning, so that you understand it, so that also you can lead your team in the right direction who are going to be looking after it. So all these things put together, if you're able to find solutions, because every day all these harsh realities that I've broken down into, you need to be able to consistently find solutions. So even when you do start your feedlot, the problems don't stop. The harsh realities don't go. They actually, some of them get bigger and some of them get harder to solve. So your job as, the owner of this particular industry of your feedlot, you need to be able to consistently find ways to maneuver through these situations and these problems. And with that, you'll be able to do it. So again, be very mindful of certain things. The location is very important. If you don't have water supply, you don't have a borehole, you need to find a way to make sure that you will get a consistent supply of water from a company, for example. Feed is very important. You need to have the cash flow or the capital to buy consistent feed, because if your bulls don't eat every day, they will not gain the weight and you won't get the profit that you want at the end of the cycle. So it's very important to put all these things together. Make sure that you're ready before you get started. Do your research, do your market research, understand the industry, and you will be starting with a good head start when you go about putting together your feedlot. So I hope this was very useful. I hope this was, the information that you probably needed before getting started. I'm very happy for everyone who continues to watch my videos. I'll try to be more consistent in terms of, expressing more about the side and letting people know my journey, because it's all about journeys, and journeys are different. My journey could be different from yours, so it's very important that we learn from each other and we stick together. So thank you so much for everyone watching. Please again, comment, subscribe, and share to anyone that you may feel will need this information. Thank you so much. I go by the name of Suti Major, and see you in the next video.